From the studios of Staten Island Community Television, you're watching In the Bleachers, the TV show for the world's most passionate sports fans. Hello, everyone. I'm Jaime Hixson, joined by my dear friend over the phone.
The hardest, baddest, sexiest man on cable access TV. That's not only passionate about sports, but women as well. I am the man of the hour with the power in hand. And let me say this. We're going to have a good time today.
Yes, we are.
Because, I don't know if there's a lot to do about sports nowadays because things have seemed to be calming down, or is the sports riling up? Is it coming to a simmer or a fury yet?
Oh, there's plenty to talk about. I mean, preseason football just got started. The Yankees just won a series in Chicago. It looks like they're riding themselves a little bit.
Well, because I seen that the Giants signed the quarterback. They let go of a quarterback, and they signed a quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see, what is it? Brian Levicki?
As a matter of fact, I think
pronouncing his name right, but I know they signed the quarterback, and isn't it now? Is the quarterback that they have now, is he hurt?
If you're talking about Daniel Jones, no, he's not hurt. He's just being benched for the first game, or he was benched for the first game.
Did the Jets sign? Who's the Jets backup quarterback? Do you know?
The Jets backup quarterback?
Because they normally have at least two more.
Let me see. I'm trying to research this right now.
Because right now, I mean, they have
They actually had two quarterbacks, one named White and another one named Morgan.
That's the Jets, right?
Mm-hmm. That's the Jets.
Well,
the Giants had
the Jets answer.
A kid named Clayton Thorson. Actually, they had Clayton Thorson, but he wound up getting hurt, and he got waived as part of an injury settlement.
Now, combining what
They
the
also
Jets
brought in
have
Mike
and
Glennon.
what the Giants have.
What's that?
I said, having both New York teams in New Jersey,
mm-hmm.
and you have, where do you think they're going to match up? Do you think they'll be in first, last, or third or fourth place?
As far as the Giants are concerned, I actually see the Giants.
Giants, excuse me.
I see the Giants in third place, and as a matter of fact, I also see the Jets bringing up the rear in fourth. I just don't think they're ready.
Because they have a pretty hard schedule. Both of them actually do.
Yeah, the schedule is not helping matters for them.
In your opinion, has the league improved?
The league as a whole, you mean?
The league as a whole, have they improved? And who do you think is going to be the worst team in each division?
My bet is on Detroit, because now that they have Jared Goff as their quarterback, I think he's going to be a fish out of water, especially with the teammates that he has.
What's wrong with the teammates?
Well, for one, they're still having problems on their offensive line. They can't seem to get a franchise running back to save their lives. And also, defensively, they're just very, very shaky.
Okay. Now, who else would be a really bad team?
Who else would be a bad team?
Yes. Because you have the Jets division, the Giants division, you have in the other two divisions.
Yep. Cincinnati, for one.
Cincinnati Bengals?
The Cincinnati Bengals, for one. I see them probably going either 4-12 or 5-11. This, in spite of the fact that they have Joe Burrow as their quarterback, but he doesn't have a number one receiver, and defensively they look very weak.
Okay. Name two more.
Two more
from each division.
From each division? Well, I still think the Jets are going to bring up the rear in the East. Up
really?
North, yeah, the Jets are really going to bring up the rear in the East. In fact, I'd be surprised if they win 4 games this season.
Why do you say that?
They still haven't addressed any of their other needs. They still haven't addressed the running back situation. They still haven't addressed their receiver. They don't have a franchise receiver who they could go to as their number one guy. The offensive line, I mean, it's so at best. I think the one thing that could probably keep them in certain games might be their defense.
Well, they did. In your opinion, did they improve the front line by getting the draft picks that they received?
It improved a little bit, and it's a good thing that they have Zach Wilson as their rookie quarterback, because he presents a lot of athletic ability, which is pretty interesting for a guy of his height and weight.
Well, what is his height and weight?
I'll find that out for you right now.
Because I'll tell you, according to what you hear on, the local radio stations, and what you read, or what I read, and that is that the Jets are not going to be that bad, but they're not going to be great, but they have potential to be something.
Mm-hmm. And for the record,
just like the Giants.
Mm-hmm. And for the record, Zach Wilson stands 6'2" and 214 pounds.
So, does that mean that's a good height and weight to be a quarterback in your estimation?
If anything, 6'2" is a little undersized to be a quarterback. The prototypical quarterback nowadays is usually around 6'4" or 6'5". You look at Ben Roethlisberger of the Steelers, he's about 6'5" and maybe 250 to 260 pounds.
Well, that's Big Ben. I mean, Doug Flutie, okay? He still survived on the land of giants. And there's plenty of others that are, let's say, 6'2" and down. I can't believe that 6 foot and 6'2" are short.
Yeah. It's the same thing with a point guard in basketball. You like your point guards to be nice and tall.
6 foot is short.
Yeah, 6 feet tall is short. And Russell Wilson of the Seahawks, he's around 5'8" or 5'9", yet he's been able to last for 9 years.
And done very well.
And he's done very well. He's won a championship, too.
Exactly. So that's accountable because he's a real good quarterback, and the fact that he's got a front line, or does he have a receiver, or he's that good that it doesn't matter what type of receiver he has, he makes him better.
I think Zach Wilson is the type of quarterback that might be able to make teammates better. You saw him in the Jet-Giant game just a couple of days ago to open the preseason.
Right.
Zach Wilson completed 6 out of 8 passes, which is pretty decent when you think about it.
And right now, they have high hopes for this kid at quarterback for the Jets. And do you see him be the, throwing the most interceptions in the league?
Probably. I mean, that comes with experience, though. And it's a good thing that he has Robert Saleh as his head coach, because he can be able to tutor the kid on when not to make a mistake.
Well,
not to say that making a mistake is good, but he can tutor him into not making a mistake at any time.
And how about the Giants situation? Where do you see them, and how do you think the quarterback situation is? Because are they set up to win?
They want to be set up to win, but let me tell you, the quarterback situation is this. Daniel Jones is the guy. The backups that they have, they're basically there just to hold a clipboard. Daniel Jones is the guy, and he's shown that he can win games. I mean, you look at the Tampa Bay game from last season, 2 seasons ago, I should say, when he made that remarkable comeback and wound up winning the Tampa game by 1.
The problem that you have with him, though, is this his last shot? Because, according again to everyone else, he should have a better team this year. That he should not. He has to prove himself this year, unless he gets COVID or gets hurt. He has to prove this is his year to improve. And if he doesn't improve this year,
then they have to start from scratch
he's
again.
Either gone next year or he's a backup quarterback.
Let's put it this way. Saquon Barkley is going to be back as his running back. That's number 1. Number 2, he's shown the ability to win games. And last year was actually an improvement for the Giants, winning 6 games. But there's still the things that he has to try and correct, like not turning the ball over. And also keeping his composure when he's in the pocket.
So does that mean that the Giants' front line, the receivers that they have, Saquon Barkley, all cylinders go, and if he blows it this year, that's it?
Well,
what does he have to do? Does he have to make the playoffs? And then, let's say he doesn't go to the second round? Or he has to go past the second round? Or get up to the second round?
That's going to be hard. Because if you look at the Giants' schedule this year, check out these games that they have to go up against.
But I'm just saying, how do you judge him to keep him? Do you judge him by he's got to make the playoffs? Either he's got to go past the second round. How do you judge him?
I think the only way to judge him is to see what he does on the field. A playoff spot would be gravy for them. But
right.
All he has to do is cut down on the turnovers. If he can cut down on the turnovers, then I think he'll be able to prosper. Is
the team built to win and have a decent record, a very good record, or an excellent record, that they're able to make the first round of the playoffs, or are they just a very good team and that's it? Because I don't think that even if he becomes a very good quarterback, I think they're going to get rid of him.
Well, if he improves, then there's no talk of getting rid of him. But if he stinks and he can't figure out how to dissect a defense, then we can talk about maybe bringing in somebody else.
So he's got to have at least a good record.
He has to post a good record in order for the Giants and himself to prosper.
So he's got to have a better record in the 2 years that he's been there in order for him to stay.
Exactly.
Okay.
And I've got the Giants' schedule coming up, and this is the regular season.
Right.
I might add. They open the season at home against the Broncos. Then there's Washington, Atlanta, New Orleans, which, by the way, is in year 1 post Drew Brees. Then there's the showdown with the Cowboys. Then a showdown with the Rams. Then the Panthers. Then they have to play the Chiefs, which is going to be murder.
Right.
hosting the Raiders, playing the defending champions, the Buccaneers, the Eagles, the Dolphins, the Chargers, the Cowboys again, the Eagles again, then the Bears, and then
Right.
Washington.
Okay, go down the line again one more time, but slower, because I want to ask you, do they win the first game? Which games do they win and which game do they lose?
I think they have a shot to win the Bronco game.
Okay. But go by the order of the list that you just mentioned.
All right. In order, there's the Bronco game, then they have Washington.
Do they win or lose the first game?
I think the Giants have a strong possibility of winning the Bronco game.
Okay, the second game.
The second game,
Who are
Washington.
they playing?
They're playing Washington.
Okay.
And if I'm not mistaken, I think this game's on prime time. Yeah, it is on prime time. It's going to be on Amazon Prime.
Okay.
That's another thing. This year, all Thursday night games are going to be broadcast on Amazon Prime.
Boy, I'm telling you, it's a shame that we don't have free TV anymore,
Yeah.
because it's a shame that people have to pay for things that they may not be able to afford.
Yeah, this is true.
But anyway, continue. So do they beat Washington?
I think they can beat Washington because the
So
Giants
that's
have
2 wins
a
so
winning
far.
streak against the formerly known as the Redskins.
Who's the third team?
Atlanta at home.
Win or loss?
You know, in spite of their of the last 2 seasons, Atlanta does have good players. I mean, they still have Matt Ryan, who I think is a very good quarterback.
Right.
And if I'm not mistaken, I think Julio Jones is still their number 1 receiver.
Okay. So is that a win or loss?
I think that's a loss there.
Okay, so that's 2 win, 1 loss. Okay, continue.
Then they have to go to New Orleans to play the Saints.
Win or loss?
This is a game that they probably should win because they don't have Drew Brees to be worried about anymore. In all likelihood, Taysom Hill is going to be the quarterback. Then after that is the Cowboys. And the Giants have had major problems with the Cowboys in the last couple of years.
Okay.
So I think the Cowboys win this game.
So that's 3 wins, 2 losses.
Mhm.
Okay.
Then there's the Rams, which is a very, very tough team. Now they have Matthew Stafford as their quarterback, and I still think Stafford's a good player. I think the Rams win this one. Then there's Carolina, the Panthers, that is. And this time the Panthers have Sam Darnold, the ex-Jet, as their quarterback. This is a game that they probably should win. But then comes Kansas City.
So that means so far they're 4-3.
Let's see here. 3-3.
Oh, they're 3-3. Okay, 3-3.
I would say that they would be 3-3.
Okay.
Then after that, the Panther game, which they probably should win because Sam Darnold is going to be the quarterback, and he practically cost himself his job with the Jets with his constant mistakes.
Don't they have Tim Tebow too?
Nope, Tim Tebow's on the Jaguars.
Okay, so they win against the Panthers. So that's 4-3.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, 4-3.
Then there's the Chiefs in Kansas City.
Right.
And quite frankly, I think they're going to be they're getting thrown to the wolves having to deal with the Chiefs and that crowd. I like Kansas City in that one.
4-4.
Mm-hmm. Then it's home against the Raiders, who actually have a chance to do something really, really interesting this season.
Such as?
such as challenge for a wild card spot.
Wow, why would you say that?
Well, for one, they have a much better quarterback than people give him credit for, Derek Carr. And I think Derek Carr is a better quarterback than Daniel Jones, to be quite honest with you. So I like the Raiders in this one.
Okay, so that's 5 losses, 4 wins, 5 losses.
Mm-hmm. Then the Giants have to play the defending champions, the Buccaneers, who this time have Tom Brady at quarterback. The Giants have done well against Brady in the past. I mean, keep in mind, they've won 2 Super Bowls against him.
Okay.
But my guess is that the Buccaneers win this one.
4 wins and 6 losses.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Then after that, they have the Eagles. And in all likelihood, Jalen Hurts is going to be the quarterback for the Eagles. He's in a bit of a competition right now. And if Jalen Hurts is going to be the quarterback, then all bets are off. I like the Eagles in that one.
So it's 4 wins and 7 losses.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Then there's the Dolphins in South Florida. And the Dolphins have Tua Tagovailoa as their quarterback. All I think he needs is a little experience to make him better. And also, the kid very rarely makes any mistakes. So the Giants are going to have to really get their defense going to try and force him into making some mistakes that he doesn't want to make. With that being said,
yes,
I still like the Dolphins in this one.
4 wins and 8 losses.
Yep. Then there's San Diego, and San Diego has a good quarterback of their own, Justin Herbert. So I think the Chargers win this one.
4 wins and 9 losses.
Yep. Then 3 out of the last 4 weeks of the season, they have division opponents to go up against.
Right.
There's the Cowboys on the 19th of December. I like the Cowboys in this one.
Okay, 4 wins and 10 losses.
And then Boxing Day, which is December 26th, they have the Eagles.
Right.
And then
do they win or lose?
I think the Giants lose against the Eagles.
So 4 wins and 11 losses.
Mm-hmm. Then it's on to Chicago to play the Bears. Interesting. They play on my birthday, which is January 2nd.
Okay.
And the Bears are actually kind of schizophrenic when you think about it. You don't know which team is going to show up. At least they have Nick Foles to be their quarterback.
So
I would say that would be a loss for the G-men.
4 wins and 12 losses.
And then they end the season against Washington, which I think that's a giant victory.
5 wins and 12 losses.
Yeah.
Okay, so going by what you said,
which would be a step down for the Giants.
So going by what you say, do you keep Daniel, the quarterback?
If Daniel Jones doesn't get it done this year,
going by what you say of that record, by what you said, do you keep him?
See, it's hard to judge a guy on 3 years of work because Daniel Jones was drafted pretty high. But at the same time, he didn't necessarily come from a quarterback factory. He came from an also-ran program like Duke.
Right. But again, going by the standards that the league sets,
mm-hmm.
in your opinion, since you have a 5 and I think 12 record, do you keep him? He's been in the league for 3 years.
I'd give him one more shot in 2022.
So you give him next year?
Yeah, I'll give him until next year. And if he still can't prove that he can win more than 6 games, then all bets are off.
No, I don't. If what you say is true, and it has to, and let's say he becomes a real damn good quarterback, but the way they lose is because the defense doesn't hold up.
Mm-hmm.
That guy is gone next year, and so is the GM.
Well, the general manager
GM is gone, and so is he. You got because you've had this guy for 3 years. He replaced a legend in the Giants organization.
Yeah.
And you got rid of the legend to put this guy in. And the coach wanted him really bad that he actually forced the quarterback before him to say, you know what, retire, because this is the prime quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
And then he got fired. And the GM was backing the coach up. Now they have a new coach. Or am I wrong in this scenario?
You mean the Giants?
Yes.
Their coach is in his second year.
Okay. The coach is in his second year, and the GM is how long has he been there?
The GM has been there, I think, about 4 years.
Okay. The GM, somebody's got to go. The GM or the quarterback has to go, or both of them, because you can't have that unless if you go by the same record that you just mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
If you give him next year, and you can't. He's already had 2 years.
Yep.
And normally, like you said, unless he starts improving with yardage and all that other stuff, he's not going to make next year. They're going to draft another quarterback.
Well, I think it's time that we call a spade and say, if this kid does not get it done this year, I would give him one more chance. And if he still can't get it done, then you worry about
okay, let's say he survives next year. How many games do you give him before you yank him?
I would give him maybe half the season.
Okay. Now, in the draft, do you draft another quarterback? Or is his job safe?
I would say that his job is pretty safe.
So you wouldn't draft another. Let's say there was a good crop of quarterbacks coming out next year. The Giants could get one. And you say you wouldn't draft another quarterback because you're depending on the guy who's got a 5-12 record.
Mm-hmm.
No, that doesn't. No, you're gonna have if you're going to get rid of him next year, you should have to at least as a backup draft another quarterback, unless you know for sure you're gonna keep him.
You sure about that, man?
Yeah, because if you draft another quarterback, right, and let's say he bombs, you have the backup already in hand. He's chomping up at the bits. Let them play. Let them duke it out on the field. Because maybe this is what he needs now. Because you've given him 4 years. That next year will be 4 years.
Right.
And let's say he starts bombing out. You bring in the other quarterback. If you think that the next year is a real good crop of quarterbacks coming out, that he's like the Jets quarterback that they needed to get him, then you draft that quarterback. And then you say, hey, guy, this is your job to lose next year because we set you up with a decent team that you shouldn't be 5-12.
Well, let me tell you, the class of 2022 for the NFL draft, I do not see any quarterbacks that are worthy of being picked number one.
I don't think the Giants are going to be number one, but I'm just saying that.
In fact, I don't see any quarterbacks that could probably make it through the first round.
Then you're probably going to have to get a veteran quarterback and try to trade the guy. Because, again, if you have a guy that's, let's say, like by what you said, a 5-12 record, and then half season, depending upon who they play next year, and he's on the losing side of it, you're going to have to do. You have to do something. You can't keep on losing like this.
You're really down on the guy, aren't you?
Huh?
You're really down on the guy, aren't you?
No. Because figure it. It's not that I'm down on him. It's just that how many years do you give a quarterback for him to really do good for your team? Because there have been players that when they go to other places, they flourish.
Yeah, that happens all the time.
They become better. But how many years do you keep a guy that has a losing record? And it's not because they have a revolving door like the Knicks coaching staff and coach, and it's not like they have that door like that. So at some point, when do you let go? And you say, okay, next year, and if he has a bad record next year, midway, what do you do with him? You can't keep on losing. And let's say you go with him past 2022. So at 2023, you're going to have 4 years of losing? I'm just going by the record from his past before, even though he has been hurt 2 years. But if he doesn't, he's got to show some improvement. And if he has a 5-12 record, like you just mentioned, if that happens, and depending upon if he starts losing next year, let's say he has another 5-12 record next year. Don't you yank him? Don't you try to find another quarterback?
If they stink as badly next year, like I think they're going to this year, then you try to reassess the situation.
Because according to the Giants and according to radio and stations and all that, they're supposed to have a decent team. They're not supposed to have that bad of a team. They do have receivers this year. They do have a line. I mean, it may not be the greatest, but he does have something to work with this year.
Well,
so they shouldn't be 5-12, according to some people.
Well, if they're not going to be 5-12, then that means Saquon Barkley is going to get the ball more. He's going to get about 225 to 250 carries for the season, coming back from a mangled knee.
Especially because you don't know when he's coming back. That's another thing. But you still have your receivers.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you still got good receivers. They're not decent. They're good receivers for him this year. And you did pick up some good linemen, just like the Jets. Next week, when we have a little bit of a time, if we have, we'll go through the Jets win and loss, and who they playing next this year, and see who wins, who loses. What is their record?
We can probably do that now if you want.
Okay, fine. Now let's do it. See, because if you have a first-year quarterback, you got a first-year coach.
Robert Saleh, who I think is going to be very good for that locker room.
And you picked up decent players because they're raving about the rookies this year that they picked up. especially for their front line, their offensive line. So they may just need another Saquon Barkley, even though I could swear Le'Veon Bell would have fit the bill right there, but I don't know. He must have cost too much, and you know the coach didn't like him to begin with. So, you let him go to free up space, and you have a salary cap to pick up all these guys that's supposed to be better than average.
Mm-hmm.
And your draft picks are supposed to be better than average. So go down the line and tell me what their record should be.
All right. This is a look at the Jets' upcoming schedule for this regular season, that is.
Right.
And how about this? The Jets have to open the season in Carolina against the Panthers, which means they're going to be going up against their former quarterback, Sam Darnold. You think Sam Darnold doesn't have this game circled on his calendar?
Yes.
Oh, he wants nothing more than to try and show the Jets what they're going to be missing. But you know what? I think Zach Wilson is a better quarterback than Sam Darnold is, and I say the Jets win this game.
So that's a one win. All right.
But then reality sets in. They have to play the Patriots. Tell you what, though. The Jets gave the Patriots a really tough time the last time they played each other at MetLife Stadium. And there's no Tom Brady for them to kick around anymore, or for him to kick them around anymore. But at the same time, Bill Belichick is there, and he knows the Jets inside out, so he's going to develop some kind of scheme to try and get a victory here. I like the Patriots in this one.
1-1.
Then they have to go on the road to play Denver.
Okay, what does Denver do? What do they win? Do they have a good quarterback? What? You explain.
Well, I'm gonna find out.
Why do you think? Do you think Denver would win or lose?
Let me find that out for you right now.
Because I'll tell you, if they have a better record than the Giants, boy, that'll be because I don't think there's ever been a guy that's come out of college well, let me ask you, has there ever been a college football player that has made it to the playoff or won the Super Bowl?
Never.
But has there ever been one that's made it?
There's never been a rookie quarterback that has won a Super Bowl before. No.
Not the Super Bowl, but how about the playoffs?
Well, Andrew Luck did that his first year with the Colts. He was able to turn them into a playoff team.
Okay.
And,
go ahead. So it's 1-1, and we're up to Buffalo.
All right. For the record, I like Denver in this one. I think Denver's defense is much better. Not only that, but the Broncos have Teddy Bridgewater as their quarterback, and he's about as steady as they get.
1 win, 2 loss. All right.
Now, let's see here. Here we are. After the Panthers and Patriots and Broncos, the Jets have the Tennessee Titans, and Tennessee is probably going to be a team to look at as a potential challenger for the AFC crown. So I like Tennessee in this one.
1 win, 3 losses. Now, who has Tim Tebow again?
Jacksonville.
Okay.
And he's playing tight end now.
1 win, 3 losses.
Mm-hmm. Then after that, the Jets have to go to Atlanta to play the Falcons. And that's a Falcons victory for you.
That's a Falcon victory, so the Falcon wins.
A Falcons win.
1 win, 4 losses.
Then they have to play the Patriots again. Bill Belichick knows the Jets like he knows the back of his hand. He knows exactly what kind of scheme that he can put out there to try and disrupt the Jets' rookie quarterback. So I like New England in this one.
1 win, 5 losses. But remember, Bill Belichick doesn't have the players that he used to have. And he doesn't have the great Tom Brady because look at what he's done in the past, for the past 2 or 3 years. And if he continues to lose, when do you give him the heave-ho?
You're forgetting one thing. Cameron Newton is his quarterback now.
Okay. We'll see what happens. But, all right, so you have 1 win. What did I say, 4 losses?
Yeah.
Okay, 1 win, 4 losses. Go ahead.
Let's see. Here's a little patsy on the schedule. The Cincinnati Bengals. And I think the Jets are able to win that game.
2 wins, 4 losses.
Yep. But then there's the Indianapolis Colts on the road. And now the Colts have Carson Wentz as their quarterback. The only issue is he going to be healthy? Because he's been hurt during preseason.
Okay.
I say the Colts win this one. And then there's their
5
upstate
losses.
Yep. And then there's the Bills at home. We know how Buffalo was last year. Josh Allen is terrific. Their defense is extremely stout. So I like Buffalo in this one.
2 and 6 losses.
I'm telling you, this is not looking good for them.
Go ahead, continue.
Then they have another division rival, the Dolphins, at home. And Tua Tagovailoa at quarterback. I'm picking Miami in this one.
2 and 7 losses.
Then there's the Houston Texans, who potentially could be one of the worst teams in the NFL. In fact, they might be the single worst team in the NFL this season. So you have to give the Jets a victory here.
3 wins, 7 losses.
Yep. Then there's a matchup with the Eagles. And I think the Eagles win this one.
3 wins, 8 losses.
I'm telling you, it's not looking good. Then there's the Saints. The Saints come into MetLife Stadium to play the Jets. I think defensively the Saints are extremely vulnerable. But the Saints do have the two-headed monster at quarterback, Jameis Winston, and also Taysom Hill. So I think the Saints win this one.
3 wins, 8 losses. Okay.
And then, actually, it's 3 wins and 9 losses.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. 3 wins, 9 losses. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm. Then they have to play the Dolphins again. All bets are off. I like Miami in this one.
3 wins, 10 losses.
Then there's the battle of the top 2 quarterbacks that were drafted this past April. Zach Wilson and Andrew Lawrence. And I think Andrew Lawrence is going to make Jacksonville really dangerous this year. So I'm picking Jacksonville.
3 wins, 11 losses.
3 wins, 12 losses.
12 losses.
And then a showdown with the Buccaneers, which means they have to face Tom Brady.
Oh, that's a win.
Now, Tampa Bay's just better.
3 wins, 13 losses.
And then the season finale in Buffalo.
Right.
And I think the Bills stomp on the Jets again.
So you give 3 wins and 14 losses.
Yeah.
With the supposed lineman that they have that's supposed to be really good, an upgrade. You have a quarterback that's supposed to be above average, and this guy, the GM, had a big pocketbook and supposedly filled the voids, and you're going to tell me that the rest of the league improved better than the Jets, that they're going to be 3-14.
Mm-hmm.
That's insane. That's insane.
Well, I hate to tell you this, my friend, but you look at that roster and you compare them to the rosters of the other teams that they have on their schedule, it doesn't compare.
Well, on paper, okay, let's go by that. All right, fine, but I still think that they steal one from Miami and another one somewhere. They'll probably have 5 or 6 wins, in my opinion. But if this quarterback is as good as they claim to be, he should have more than 3 wins.
You forget they're starting a rookie kid at quarterback for this season, which means they handed him the keys to the car.
Right.
Which means he can do anything he wants with it
to
try and get them victories.
So are you saying that he's not an Andrew Luck?
Far from it. Andrew Luck was special.
Who is he supposed to be?
He's supposed to be Zach Wilson.
Who does he remind you of? Because the Jets picked him high,
mm-hmm.
and they traded for him to get there, to get this guy. So he's not Joe Namath. He's not Andrew Luck. So who is he? Kenny O'Brien?
At least Ken O'Brien went to the playoffs a couple of times.
Okay, but what I'm saying is, how good is this quarterback? Who would you say he emulates?
I would probably give him the mantle of maybe Drew Brees.
Drew Brees. So you're going to say that with this team, and he's a Drew Brees type quarterback, he's going to have a 3-win, 14 losses.
To be honest with you, it's really unfair to try
and have a 3-14 loss.
It's unfair to try and compare the kid to any other quarterbacks when he hasn't even started a regular season game yet.
Because remember, on paper, he's supposed to be rated high, though. That's what I'm saying, because we're talking paper-wise.
Mm-hmm.
No injuries, no nothing. They're coming straight on. And this kid is supposed to be rated very high. So if he's rated high with all these accolades, and you call him a Drew Brees-type football player, quarterback,
mm-hmm.
then in his first year, he can't be no 3 wins, 14 losses.
But if you look at that schedule, there's the potential of that happening.
That's hard to swallow because, like I said, the way that they're souping up these guys from the Giants and Jets camp, that their rookies are going to be really better than average and all that. It's going to be something. But here's something else that worries me, and going to the Knicks now, because do you know that we have a savior now called Kimber Walker?
He's not a savior. Come on.
Because the way they're talking about him, you've heard some of the radio stations and you've read it. They're making this guy seem as he's the second coming.
The second coming of what?
I don't know, because he's saying, "Oh, the Bronx kid is back. He's gonna improve." Him and Farmer are going to improve the team so much that we're going to have fun this year because of the rookies that they brought up, that they got from the NBA draft, which they're doing well. Grimes and McBride, they're doing well, and Simmons are doing well, and the 2 other guys, they're doing decent.
Yeah, but that's only in the summer league, though.
But if you read and you hear the radio and you read the newspaper, they have very high hopes for the guys.
Well, I would hope so.
I mean, but really, because they're number 1 or number 2 in the summer league.
Yeah, but let's
And
see
Obi
what they can
Toppin
do
is
in a
lighting
regular
it up.
season game. I
And
do
Obi
not take
Toppin is
anything
lighting it up.
from the summer league.
Right, exactly. So if they come off this well, and they play the way they play in the summer league, then and Kimber Walker, if his knee doesn't give out and plays the way Kimber Walker, you get the Kimber Walker of old, then you have a playoff team that may even go to the second round and perhaps pass it. If you go by the hype of what you're hearing from the radio stations and the newspapers, because you have the Chicago Bulls who are improved, but they got into a snafu too because they said that there was they talked out of turn.
You mean tampering?
Yeah, they tampered the damn thing. And you don't hear nothing from that again. But did any of the other teams improve? Because the Nets improved. The Nets did pick up a couple of people, and there are people that want to play for the Nets. Just like the way the Lakers, although they're an older team, people still want to play for the Lakers.
Obviously.
Because look at the team that they have.
Well, yeah, I mean, think about it.
So
Carmelo Anthony, Russell Westbrook, 2 guys who can improve the team immediately.
So, and then you have the Clippers.
Yeah.
Where do they stand?
They still stand as a serious contender out west.
But
and bringing back Kawhi Leonard was huge for that franchise.
Yeah, but they need help.
Oh, of course, every team needs help.
They need help. He can't do it by himself. They need help. And then they're trying. Let me see. Golden State Warriors is trying to get Ben Simmons.
Now, that would be interesting.
Because Ben Simmons is no slouch. He just can't shoot the damn ball, but he can pass it. And you already got shooters on the team already.
Mm-hmm.
But it all depends. Who are you willing to swap with him for? And then the almighty Damon Lillard. If the Knicks grab him, how many players and how many draft choices do you give up for him? Like I said, I call up the radio station, and this guy never gave me an answer. And I asked him, I'm going to repeat it. Do you do the same trade as you did with the Carmelo Anthony trade? Do you give up half the team for this one guy?
See, that's the thing. We don't know what Damian Lillard is thinking.
That is true.
I mean, he gave a press conference the other day, and they were asking him whether he wanted out of Portland. He never gave a direct answer.
He's going to play good. He's going to play good politics. But if you don't surround, if the team doesn't prove that they want to invest in him, he's gone. He's going to pull a James Harden. That's what that's what I'm reading. That's what I keep on hearing from the radio stations. And so on. So this is what I'm getting at. The way they're talking about Kimber Walker is as if they're going to this. How do you see this team? Because I know that you thought I was very hard on Daniel Jones. You're harder on the Knicks. So let's see.
I'm hard on the Knicks because I hate their management and I hate their owner.
You hate the owner, but the management. Their new management.
Yeah, but you're forgetting one thing. Steve Mills is still there.
Yeah,
And I've
he's
never
doing
liked
well,
the guy.
but they have new people there. He's not. He's only a servitude guy. He's not an owner. He's not a. He's just a helper.
He's a yes man, is what he is.
Right, but Leon Ross is running the game, and so is Worldwide Wrestling.
Oh,
So
please.
those are the two that are the main guys. He's the third or fourth guy on the totem pole. So you can't say management. Dolan I can see. But management has changed. Look at the culture that the Knicks brought in. They went to the playoffs.
Big
last
deal.
year.
What did it get him? It got him a spanking by the Hawks.
Right, exactly. Because, again, they weren't supposed to. They should have beaten the Hawks, but they didn't. But they made the playoffs, something that you say that they wasn't supposed to. But, again, now, with the hype that they have now, plus Kimber Walker and Fournier, who
You mean
they're
Evan
making
Fournier?
a big deal that Fournier and Durant got into a scuffle last year when he was with the Celtics.
Uh-huh.
So they're making a big deal about that. They're going, oh, well, the Brooklyn Nets and the Knicks are going to be fun this year to watch when they play each other.
We'll see.
So that's what I'm getting at. How do you rate the Knicks this year? With the players that they have, with the hype that came with all these guys so far that you've been hearing on radio and reading from the newspapers.
How do I rate them in the
How do
Eastern
you
Conference
rate them?
or in the NBA in general?
Yeah, how do you? I mean, in their division, where do they stand in their division?
Where do they stand in their division? Well, they're not as good as the Sixers. They're not as good as the Celtics either. In fact, I don't even think they're as good as the Brooklyn Nets.
Okay, because the Nets are supposed to be the Nets are supposed to win this year or next year. They're supposed to win.
Yeah, they've already been named the favorites to win the title, and that's way too much pressure to be putting on the Nets, even in spite of the players on their roster.
The players that they have. You got to remember who they have as the players. They're supposed to win, just like the Lakers are supposed to win. Look at the players that they have. So saying that, where do the Knicks stand? Because remember, they made the playoffs last year. You can't discount that. So where do you put them in their division? Because remember, I think they were second or third last year in their division.
I still think they're the fourth best team in their division.
Okay.
And I actually think that Philadelphia is better than Brooklyn.
Really?
Yeah, I really do think that Philly is better than Brooklyn because they've got a man in the middle who can open up space with his three-point shot. And I still don't buy the theory that he and Ben Simmons don't work well together. I think they should be given another chance.
Well, I mean, the thing with that situation is they're saying that Doc Rivers threw him under the bus, and so did this other guy. But we have no more time left.
No.
So this conversation has to go on next week.
Yep.
Hopefully, and you're going to have a special guest hopefully next week as well. So
yep.
let's see what happens.
We're working on having a special guest for next week, so hopefully that will be taking place.
Yes. So we'll talk sooner than later and later than sooner.
Yes, sir. Hector, thank you as always.
Thanks. It's good to be here.
And thanks to Kenny Graham on the other side of the glass, and thanks to you guys for watching at home. So for everyone here, I'm Jamie.
I'm Hector.
We hope to see you next Monday night. Good night, everyone.
Nighty-nighty.